In today's fast-paced real estate landscape, success demands more than surface-level expertise. It requires insight, adaptability, proven strategies, discipline, and the ability to take risk. The Agent Brew podcast blends candid conversations with wisdom from industry leaders who've walked the path before you. Think of us as your strategic pit stop to fuel your real estate journey. From the crossroads of the world in the heart of Times Square, welcome to Agent Brew Executive Sessions. I'm your host, Eric Zollinger of Realty Co. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the new and improved Agent Brew and Agent Brew Executive Sessions. As you can see, we have a new camera, and I am so excited to get to show this new camera off with our guest today, who is a legend and somebody that I've looked up to for many, many years, since I met him, actually. Welcome our guest, Peter Hernandez, the president of brokerage for both California and Nevada regions of Douglas Elliman Real Estate. Welcome, Peter.
Hey, Eric. Thank you for inviting me to your podcast. I've looked forward to being on it for a long time, and I've been watching it over the years, and it's just really grown, and it's really just it's always thoughtful. It's always well prepared. Even your opening speech there was so good. And I'm excited for your new camera. And I'm really excited to be talking with you right now. So,
well, likewise. So I always like to start with how we know one another. And I used to work at Douglas Elliman, Texas. And when we became part of the Western region, I got to meet you at the opening of Dallas and Austin. And you've always made a positive influence for me in how I think about things, because the way I start the podcast, the first question I ask everybody is, give me your elevator pitch. And I remember that summer of 2021, I remember you telling everybody, all the agents, you have to have your elevator pitch down and just know who you are and what you do. And so, Peter, tell us your elevator pitch.
Well, I'm not sure I have an elevator pitch, and I probably should follow my own advice, but I have been in the business for quite a while. Definitely more than 20 years, probably more than twice 20 years, and probably 20 years times 2 plus 12. So that you can do the math and figure out how many years I've been in the business. But I know I look way too young for that, so that's the good news.
Yes.
But I was an agent, I got my license in 1970, and I was an agent until 1988. And I was top 1% of the 1% on the west side of LA. I thought to myself at that moment in time, Eric, I thought, I wonder if I could even do more through other agents. So I got into the management side of the business, and I was a branch manager from 88 until 2001, managed a bunch of different offices for John Douglas and Coldwell Banker. And Coldwell Banker had actually bought John Douglas. That's how I got to Coldwell Banker. And then I got a call from Bob Becker, and he said, Peter, he says, we're doing this manager retreat in Utah, Coeur d'Alene. Is it Coeur d'Alene, Utah? I can't remember. Coeur d'Alene. And we have a golf there, and I want to play golf with you, and got some exciting things to talk to you about. And I said, great, I would love it. So I go out to Coeur d'Alene, we're playing golf, and he says, Peter, he says, we've never done this before, but we'd like to make you president of Coldwell Banker for all of Orange County, which was, the Newport Beach offices from San Clemente all the way to I think we had offices in Huntington Beach, Yorba Linda. We had about, 12 offices, 15 offices. And I was like, and the funny part of that story was, Eric, that, I was an okay golfer, but I was a little bit schizophrenic. I could shoot in the 70s, but I could also shoot 130, and it just depended on the day. And this particular day, I had I think 6 pars in a row, and I just had a birdie, and I'm thinking, this is going to be a good round. He tells me that news, and I'm spraying my shots everywhere. They're going out of bounds into the water. But then I became president of Coldwell Banker, and I did that for 5 years and grew their Orange County division. And then I got this crazy idea that, why don't we start our own company, Telus Properties? And I started it with a couple of friends. And you know how that story goes. It grew into 22 offices, 700 agents, just under $3 billion in sales. And then Douglas Elliman snatched us up. And that really put Douglas Elliman on the map in California.
Yeah, completely.
And now the interesting part of the story is that most of the time when owners sell their company to another company, they'll stay on for a while, maybe to help
Maybe 2
do the
years tops, right?
transition,
It's what Barbara
maybe
Corcoran
2 years
did.
top. And you know what? Either by then the owner is like, can't wait to get out of there, or they can't wait to get rid of you. And here it is 8 years later. And it's just working at Elliman has just been a wonderful experience. It's just the people here are amazing. The company's amazing. The brand is, there's no brand like it.
I mean, you're such a positive light, and you really help all the agents. Every time I've been around you, I mean, you're just always so motivational. And uh, truth be told, full transparency, we just were together in Las Vegas at the Wynn. What an incredible event! I mean, I just have to say, in the history of Douglas Elliman, this was pretty special, and it felt special. So we're a proud sponsor of Realty Co. of the event, but we're even prouder of our day-to-day partnership with Elliman. I just want to get that out there. But how did you feel about Endeavor?
I mean, wow. I mean, Element puts on great events, and they totally know how to tap into the luxury vibe. I mean, it could have been a wedding in Monaco. It was that beautiful, and everything. I mean, was from
Well,
start
sort of
to
was a wedding in
finish
Monaco,
was,
right? I mean, there was
yeah. I mean,
there
that's
was a
true.
contract signed. There was
that's right. Element Global is now in Monaco, right? And we're in where are we? Cannes, I think, and we're in all the right markets. We're going to Paris. We're going to own France, and we have so many people reaching out to us, wanting to be part of our Element Global. I don't know, enterprise. I mean, we're going worldly, and you know, everybody wants to be part of it because they want the brand. They love the Elliman brand, and it fits the luxury market so well. But I thought the event was amazing. And to your point, though, you know, I mean, we're in the agent business, Eric, and we are all about helping our agents achieve their dreams, you know, accomplish their goals, you know, be who they should be in this business. And it's a very tough business. And so we're always there trying to, you know, cut through the noise, help them find strategies and shortcut them to success so that they can just be their best and be who they want to be and achieve what they want to achieve. And so when you say, like, I'm a positive, motivating guy, it's because I really care about that. And I want people to do that. And I want people to hit their goals. And you know what, Eric? Not everybody is going to be like a zillion-dollar producer, but let's just say you want to make 200-300 a year. Let's show them how to do that. If they want to make 5, 6, 10, 12 million a year, like there's so many, 24 million a year, I heard one agent's making 2 million a month now. I mean, we can show you how to do that too. We can show you how to do that.
So then what would you say is the biggest challenge facing agents today?
Well, there's two big challenges. One is, I think they've got to be authentic with their goal and with their vision. And sometimes we'll adopt visions and goals that aren't ours, but that maybe our parents, you know, pushed on us, or maybe we see somebody in the marketplace and we think we have to be like them. And I think what's really important is the personal life you want to achieve has to intersect with your business life in a way that they support each other. Because if your business life is taking over your personal life to a point where, you know, you're not doing the things you love to do, then you're going to suffer as a human being and probably not even hit your goals business-wise. And the other's true too. Like if you're super, super, super ambitious, but you've got all these personal responsibilities and things to do on that side, you're not going to be happy either. So I think it's trying to find what your vision is and what your goals are for yourself so that you can match it to your life, you know, your personal life, and so that they weave together in a way that supports both. Now, we talk about balance a lot, Eric, and you know, and it's a little bit of a
there
myth.
Is no balance.
You and I have talked about that, but there's seasons, and there's definitely, I mean, there's extremes on both sides. It can be the person that wakes up at 10 and, you know, has lunch at 12 and leaves the office at 2 and thinks he had a big day, to the person that's up at 5 till 12 at night, you know, that would work longer if they could. And so, you know, all in between that is an area of where do I fit into this picture, and how do I live the life that I want to live? How do I have the balance that I want to have, and how do I make the kind of money I want to make? Because not
on your
everybody has
website,
to make.
you just posted about this, I think, right? About the 80%, I think it is.
Well, the 80% rule is a lot about discipline. You know what I mean? It's like discipline is the road to freedom. You've heard all of the top, podcasters talk about. Jocko is one that uses that term. I actually heard it from my brother way back when. He taught me discipline's the road to freedom. He also taught me the power of a positive mental attitude. But discipline is never 100%, Eric. And then people beat
Right.
themselves up when they're not 100%. I was just like on a call with an agent this morning who's going through some medical issues, and she's beating herself up that she's not at work, not door knocking, not doing open houses. I'm going, look, don't you think your health is a priority right now? I mean, like, so, the 80% rule applies. If you hit your disciplines 80%, like let's just say you hit your diet 80%, you hit your workouts 80%, you hit your prospecting 80%, you hit your, everything that you have down 80%, you're going to be a total baller. You're going to be so successful. It's not going to be funny. But what often happens is people will miss a workout or they won't show up for their prospecting, and then they just fall off the map completely, and
Right.
80% goes to 30%. And that's the problem. So it's just kind of giving yourself a little grace, but holding to that 80% as a minimum.
So I'm curious. Back in 1970, why real estate?
Because my dad and my brother wanted to get me off the beach. I was a surfer, and a little bit of the Peter. My name's Peter, so the Peter Principle was founded by me, where Peter Pan Principle, not the Peter Principle, where I never wanted to leave, never land, and I just wanted to surf my way through life. But unfortunately, the bills kept coming in, the credit cards were growing, and I had to get to work. And I really didn't have another plan. I was a good student. I graduated from UCLA. I was an economics major. All that was great, but I didn't get the work concept for some reason until later in life. And so they kept pushing me. They actually had me get my license when I was in college. So I got that, I got my license in 70. So I was only 18 years old. And I would sell real estate on the weekends and go to school and stuff like that. But I was like, here's my theory. Make a sale, you get a bunch of money, go buy a car and disappear for 6 months. Why not? And then you realize it just doesn't work that way. So
Right.
so I had to get back, every reality hit. They got me in the business, and they were great role models because they were buying a lot of real estate. They actually converted some of the first apartments into condominiums.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, that actually was in the early 70s when that all happened. And it was a really fun period of time. And so they would have me sit on the open houses, Eric, and I would have to, try to explain what a condo is when nobody had ever heard that term before. And that was a really difficult conversation. Well, do you own the land? What do you own? Just inside the walls? I mean, it's like, it was, now everybody accepts it and it's easy. But back then it was, whoa, what am I selling?
So over your career, what would you say are some of your wins and why are they important to you?
Well, I think you build off wins. I mean, you learn from your mistakes and you build off wins. And like my first win was I was a 12-year-old and I was just accepted to the Winnesea Surf Club, and they were going to Hawaii to surf in the Makaha International Contest, and I could go there. I think I had to sell 300 surfboard clocks, and if I could sell those, they would send me to Hawaii. And so I got out there and I just started. I actually was in Marina Del Rey at the time, and I went to all the boats and all the people living on the boats, and I was selling clocks to them. And then I was door knocking for the first time in my life, selling clocks around the thing because I wanted to go really badly. And I think back to my sales pitch then, and it just shows you when there's authenticity and you're coming from a real place, people will buy from you. And so basically I'd knock on the door and I'd go, hi, my name is Peter Hernandez. And, I am trying so hard. I want to go to Hawaii so badly. And if I can sell 300 of these surfboard clocks, I can go to Hawaii. Would you buy one, please? And that was about my pitch. And I think they either felt sorry for me or they just thought I was cute or whatever. And they would buy these clocks. And I actually got to go. So
Oh, wow.
I think that set me up as knowing that I could sell. And so that was number one. I think another big thing is when I became successful as a real estate agent, for sure. That was another big win because I was not an overnight success. It was about 10 years trying to figure out the whole thing called work ethic. And once I got that down and I understood, what you had to do and how much work it was and how hard it was to be successful at this business, my business took off and I became like the number one agent in my marketplace. And that was extremely satisfying and another win. And then again, entering the management thing, my goal again was to be number one. And that was kind of a lot of my driver. I think I was ambitious that way. I was very competitive. Um, it's not for everybody to be competitive in that way. Competing against yourself is good. Competing against nobody's good. Just doing a great job is good. But I was very, very competitive. And so I had to be the number one manager. And I remember I had my offices were, I had two offices in Santa Monica, and I was competing, with offices in Beverly Hills. So it wasn't exactly an equal playing field. But I figured all I had to do is, more transactions to make up for the difference in sales price. And I was able to do that. And I got the number one spot one year. So that was really fun. And that was like learning to work through others and get agents to be the top of their game and be top producers, which is kind of like when we started this call. It's something I'm passionate about. And then on top of that, recruiting great agents to the offices was the other part of that, which made it really fun. So that was number two. Then third thing, obviously being, given the nod to be president of Coldwell Banker, I mean, that was insane. I'll never forget that. Like, it was the greatest feeling in the world. And going just straight from branch manager to president, not even doing the regional thing in between. And I didn't ask for the job. You know what I mean? It wasn't like I was knocking on the door saying, make me president. And so then that happened. And then finally, I think the ultimate accomplishment was Telus Properties, probably.
Yeah.
Building that and working with it and going through the partnerships and just learning so much. I always said what I learned at Telus Properties, they could never teach you at Harvard Business School. So it's
Right.
just firsthand experience is the only way you can learn some of this stuff.
Experience is so important.
And now I'm at Elliman, and it's just a whole new adventure, and it's just a whole new exciting world. And and what I love about Elliman is, like, we at Telus we were a luxury firm for sure. Nobody would say we weren't. But we didn't get invited on the 50, 60, 70, 100, $200 million, listing presentations. I mean, we definitely were not going on those. And at Elliman, there's no listing too expensive for this firm. They're like, we can handle anything. We can handle anything anywhere. And I think that's what's really exciting about being here.
So what does success look like to you? If you could define success?
I think it changes. Like there's all kinds of studies on this, like success, meeting your basic needs probably starts off first, hitting goals and becoming successful. And then maybe at the top, there's some sort of self-actualization and giving back and I don't know, more about servicing others than, just taking care of yourself. You know what I mean? I think it goes in that direction. I mean, you got to take care of yourself at the beginning. And then as life goes on, I think it's a lot about giving back.
So any transformational losses throughout your career that might have looked at like a failure at first, but then you turned it into this transformational win?
A boss. There's been a lot of, it's been, of course, a lot of hiccups and hard times and it's every listing you win, you lose one. Every agent you recruit, you lose one. Every, there's, you get it, you have partners, in different circumstances that look great, and then it turns out not so great. One of the greatest wins was marrying my wife, Carrie. We've been married now for 32 years. And
wow, congratulations.
And she taught me a lot of things, but like when she married me, I had, some real estate that was negative cash flows. And I thought I was just going to like service them until they became positive cash flows. And she sat me down one night and said to me, like, she goes, why do we have these properties? And I go, oh, well, they're going to appreciate and they're going to be this and that and that. And she goes, yeah, but we're losing money every month. And I'm going, yeah, but the rents are going to catch up and this is going to happen. And she says, Peter, we're losing money every month. You know what I mean? And so that was a valuable lesson. So I had to sell all those, and that was a little difficult letting go of that. But it was also a very, very a good lesson. I've been very fortunate. I've had some real hard knocks, but usually the hard knocks came with a win on the other side or some lesson attached to it. And I think that in so many cases,
Well, there's never a failure, right? Unless you don't learn from it.
no, absolutely. And gosh, well, I mean, just on January, I'm super athletic. I love doing CrossFit. I surf. You know what I mean? I do a lot of stuff. And on January 3rd, or actually in December, I got a pinched nerve, and I'd never really had anything debilitating before, but it was
Hmm.
so painful that, I mean, I'd heard the term pinched nerve, but that doesn't sound bad at all when you think about it.
Right.
But I'm telling you, I couldn't even sleep. I mean, it was like
Oh,
paralyzed the whole
wow.
left side of my arm, my pectoral, and I was in so much pain. I would be up, up all night in the jacuzzi trying to like bubble it out, and nothing was happening. And so January 3rd, I have an operation, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, I may never work again. That means work out again. I may never be able to surf again, because everyone's telling you not to get that. Turned out the operation is a success. And so my point is that like these little setbacks that you think are going to be permanent or that, I mean, you just got to keep an open mind and just,
Right.
I was ready to let go of, here's the thing. This is going to get a little heavy now. Detachment is the answer. When you stop caring about what people think of you, when you can give up your identity as an athlete, when you can give up your identity as a surfer and stuff like that, that's when you get the power. That's when the magic happens. You know what I mean? And so part of going through that operation was I had to face the fact that maybe I'll never be able to do CrossFit again. That was a possibility. And so how do you adjust to that? Well, you got to
Well, when
detach.
it's part of your identity, right? When it's
You
how
have to
you.
let go of it 100%. And it's very, very hard. And I'm not saying it's easy and I do it perfectly because I don't. I'm very attached to who I think I am. But I'm working on that. And that's one of the things that came from that. And then jumping I can't think of anything really that like, I mean, losing your parents is always rough. There's a lot of things, but it's life.
So how do you deal with work and the downturns? You said you do CrossFit, you surf. So are those things you are still able to do? I know you have dogs.
Yeah, no, I definitely surf still. I definitely do. I definitely CrossFit. But I've ratcheted it back a little bit because it takes a good year to recover from this. So
Hmm.
maybe instead of, doing cleans with 40 kilograms, which is about 88 pounds, I'll do it with 20 or 30 just to be active, but not to re-injure myself. Or I'll push press lighter, or maybe I'll do fewer pull-ups, or I'll do pull-ups with a band, or maybe I'll, squat with a little less weight. Because when you put a bar on your neck, it was my C7 to 6, so it's my lower neck, it's putting pressure on, so you don't want to go too heavy. So I probably got back into it a little soon, but fortunately I didn't hurt myself. And then I realized that I could, so I kind of ratcheted it back a little bit. But I think also by getting into it earlier than later, I probably healed quicker too at the same time. So I think it was all good. But you're an athlete, and so you know what I mean. You've had injuries. You know what I mean. You're a famous cyclist.
Oh my gosh, I'm full of titanium. I have 13 screws, multiple plates. I've got a titanium hip. So
Yeah.
yeah, but the key is staying active. Even if you can't, do all the things you did before, walking. I mean, on day 6 after my hip replacement, I walked 6 miles with my
Right.
walker.
And you should have done that. That's the right thing to do. But
Yeah.
to your point, I remember like I would be in the office as a young agent, and I'd be having a really bad day. I would go home, throw on my trunks, and go do a soft sand run. Come back, shower, and go back to the office with a brand new attitude. I would
Yeah.
do that a lot. You know what I mean? Because to deal with down markets, to deal with maybe slumps that you're going through and stuff like that, you got to keep your head in the right place. And so whatever you do to keep your head in the right place is key and critical because you got to keep going forward. You can't, sit in your pity pot. You can't like, woe is me. You have to keep going. And really the only way to do.
But that active, the active component for me, every time that I've been in a slump, it's because I haven't done the motion. I haven't done the cleansing and the sweating, and all
Right.
that just really is able to keep the momentum going forward and not weighing you down. So literally, it would weigh me down personally. But let's play the gratitude game. This is one of my favorite parts. It's usually rose, thorn, bud, but being the agent brew, we like to do a little bit of coffee in there. So it is the aroma. So are you a coffee drinker?
Oh my gosh, I love coffee.
I thought I remembered
Love,
you drink
love,
coffee.
love coffee. Yep. Yep,
So
I
I
do.
love to grind my own beans every morning. So just the aroma of the beans themselves. So one might say it's what gets you out of bed in the morning. So what
Hmm.
gets you out of bed in the morning?
Coffee. Definitely. And I think, I'm working on this, but I kind of run through life checking off boxes, and I'm working on correct creating from space so that I just don't blur through my days because I've been doing that for years. Where I just and sometimes I think I'm just running from feelings, just stay ahead of them, and you don't have to feel anything, kind of thing. But
I know.
I think a lot of people can relate to that. I'm sure.
Yes.
It's like eating your way through feelings. It's all that stuff, right? And so I get up in the morning and I'm ready to go, but just knowing, see, I'm different than you. I could never wait for the beans to grind. My coffee has to be made, and so the pot is set at a time, and it's waiting for me. And it's just pour my coffee in. I'm not a purist. I use a little bit of almond milk, and then I just sit in my chair, and then I go into my prayer meditation. So that's my beginning, and within that, through some spiritual reading and some prayers and meditations and reflection and like that, then I kind of set myself up mentally for the day.
I mean, you're literally the segue is the next is the actual brew, right? It's the cup that sustains you. So it's what's taking you through your morning meditation and your morning
Right,
routine. So
right.
this would say like it's kind of like what is your why? What what sustains you with that cup of coffee? Um, what is your why?
Yeah, I think it goes back to that whole thing. I just love to be a service, and I want to help Elliman grow this Western region. I mean, I'm just driven to support that in any way I can. I want to help agents grow their businesses. I'm just committed to that in any way I can. I spoke to an agent last night at 4 o'clock, but I had met at our Endeavor event, and she wants to get into development and she wants to get into certain kinds of investments and things like that. So I was able to share with her, how to do that and what we did at TELUS and how we raised money at TELUS and how we, built the company and how we wrote our business plan and the different components within the business plan, how we took that business plan out into the marketplace and sold it to get the money so that we could open the door. How when push came to shove, half of the partners said, no, we're not going to do it. And then we opened the doors, then they all jump in. I mean, it was like, I was able to share like some of the emotional parts of it, some of the structural parts of it, the financial parts of it, as well as some do's and don'ts and what to look for in partners and stuff like that. So and then we got into like my experience with agents that go into development and sometimes how it can detract them from where their money is, which is selling real
Mhm.
estate. They become developers and then they become too good to be realtors. And then they hit into a recession and they lose everything they have. And then they try to jump back to become a realtor. But guess what? Nobody was waiting for them to jump back in.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I was sharing a little of that with her and how maybe to think 25, 30% development and keep 75 to 80%, in your real estate practice. Or better yet, don't develop, just buy real estate and hold it and have passive income and go out and sell a bunch of real estate. And I said, I guarantee in 10 years you'll be rich. And so so that was like part of like how I ended the day yesterday. And that was probably one of my favorite conversations because it was like helping someone think through their goals. Because there's all these things sound like good ideas, you know what I mean? But you have to think them through and you've got to, have a plan, backed with action steps and realities and enough money and time and all that stuff.
Well, the day I spent with you and Dave Worth and Melissa Webb in Texas in Austin, I thought that was so special and what a great day for business planning. Whether you're a new agent or you're an agent that's been around for 20 years, getting back to the basics. I mean, I just I wish I was able to attend something like that back in my agent days because it was so worthwhile and I love being able to be there to be able to support and provide a lot of those services that we offer to agents to help them set themselves up for success.
Well, I mean, Eric, you do it too. You mean you've had your own brokerages. You've been a great broker. You've run teams. I mean, you know what it's about. I mean, I think you've gone into a great new venture with Realty Co. because it's probably one of the best partnerships that Elliman has, because now agents have access to health insurance, legal support. Yeah, I mean, literally, they can set up their LLCs or their S corps with you. They can, buy health insurance. I mean, you thought of everything that our industry doesn't have access to, and you put it into a one-stop shop where agents can go and get themselves set up properly for success. And I think that's wonderful. But to your point, I mean, I'm sitting here with Dave Worth and Melissa Webb, two, I mean, icons in the industry, legends in their own right, and and able to share with them, some ideas and thoughts about like how to plan for 2026, understanding, maybe where the market is, knowing that, it's an overcrowded industry, knowing that the world doesn't need another realtor, knowing that, you've got to think about this a little differently than I'm just going to go into this business and make a few sales and, hang out at the beach the rest of the time, because it really doesn't work that way. So we were trying to give people some thoughts and ideas and some actual structure, not only, pillars of business prospecting, where to build, the business building activities, but in addition to that, the structure behind the business that'll support you while you're doing that. The financial structure, the to-do lists, the consistency, the service, all those things. And so we tried to incorporate that all into a plan for 2026 that agents could get their arms around. In fact, we're gonna bring that little commercial to California. So we're gonna do it in LA, Orange County, and San Diego County. We're gonna go on the road with it and take that and maybe a little bit of. I think we're gonna tweak it a little bit because we have some new ideas since then, and keep doing that. But to me, that's very, very satisfying, because to be in the business for so long, and then I mean, there's all these talented people coming up through the ranks. I mean, really talented, young, exciting realtors that. They're going to have all the access to AI and access to, technologies that we never had, and be able to build businesses. And I was talking to Mary Filer, and she made a comment to me that I have to think about a little bit, like, what's the white space in our industry? And white space being defined as, what hasn't been done yet.
Right.
That's a great question.
It really is.
If you're a real estate agent, what is the white space? Like, what's missing right now in our industry? And if you can fill that, if you can take that white canvas and put something cool and different on there, I mean, wow, what an opportunity. And in every field, there's a white space somewhere.
Right. Right.
Like, I was just thinking this. We went to the Sphere, right? Did you go to the Sphere, by the way?
I wanted to, but there weren't any tickets left. So
I asked you that already. I'm so sorry to even do that live.
That's okay. I was there in spirit.
The crazy thing about it was, in my mind, it was, first of all, The Wizard of Oz is like one of the all-time classic movies, and everybody felt like, why don't they make movies like this anymore? Why does everything have to be so dark? So that was the first thing that was really cool. Then the second thing that was really cool about it was the immersive experience inside the Sphere. And I thought to myself, and I'm sure I'm not the first to think this, because people in the business are probably already have this in the works. If you built mini versions of the Sphere in all these cities, nobody would watch TV at home anymore.
Right.
Nobody. You would not do it.
It was kind of like a mini IMAX, right?
Well, it's better than IMAX, because even like I've always, like they always talk about not Panavision anymore. I forget what it is, but whatever the, digital, whatever it is they say they're doing, it's never as good as your TV. You have a much better picture on your TV. I promise you. If you have a new TV, it is like way clearer, way sharper, way more detailed than a theater screen. However, not at the Sphere. You can't say that. And you couldn't, and when you have things coming out of the picture that are really like without goggles or anything, it's 3D too on top of it, and your seat's shaking, and there's wind blowing. You're in the tornado of that whole thing. That was a white space. Now, it's been done at a very, very grand scale, but why can't that be done at a smaller scale, maybe not quite as elaborate, and create a whole new theater experience that, Nicole Kidman won't have to sit in an empty theater and tell people why to come to the movies, because she won't have to do that anymore. Her job will be gone. People will just go. And I think that's like, there's a white space for us. So, trying to figure that out in the real estate business is going to be really fun. And there's so many things to think about and incorporate into our business now. LE AI, for example. I mean, that's cool.
Very cool. I mean, that demonstration was,
You saw that. What did you see on that little commercial they played?
I mean, it was almost like your own assistant that's there, that's doing all the work for you to do all the comp work, and it was automatic. And then to be able to search the finishes, I thought was unbelievable.
The architect, right? The square footage, you can, and it even, you don't even know this, I don't think, Eric, but it actually goes into city records too.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So it can pull out the hazard reports, it can pull up permits, it can pull up everything.
Oh my gosh. I mean, that's just going a step further. I mean, beyond what you would think. So,
right. So now all of a sudden we can give, information to clients in real time. I mean, so things like that, where
wow.
Like now we go back to the white space question. That was a white space. That was brilliant.
So I guess with the gratitude game, the third part is the thorn. What would you say for what is that thorn in your side, or what is something that's frustrating you right now, that whether it be in the industry or?
I think the thorn right now truly is, for most agents, executives, and managers, and for people just in the world, you don't have to be a realtor for this thorn, is distraction.
Okay. Squirrel.
Yeah, I mean, we're squirreling around like crazy right now, and most of the stuff is meaningless. We don't even know it's real. We don't know it's fake. We don't know it's anything, anymore, and yet we're addicted to negativity. We're addicted to social media. We're playing the compare me to them game. We're, the world's falling apart in a handbasket. I mean, so to me, we're falling victim to algorithms, and we've always known that negative media sells, and now, the media is so much more prevalent and so much more in our face, and it's so much more negative. And so, everyone's running around with what's wrong in the world. Everyone's talking about what's wrong, and what's wrong with that party, and what's wrong with this party, and what's wrong with, and you don't hear very much anymore about what's right and what's going well and what's happening. And so to me, I think, more than ever, we have to put blinders on, and we have to, and it's not that we can't pay attention to the news and what's going on in the world, because obviously we do.
But you have to be careful on what you're digesting all the time.
And you're right. And you know what? I have a theory. If it's important, I'll find out.
Yes.
There's no way we're going to find out if it's important. But just to be like focused on the minute by minute, day to day commentary. And
I can't do that anymore.
And all that stuff.
I just.
So people are distracted, and then it creates negativity, and then they become woes me, and then they think there's no future, and then, and they get paralyzed. So distraction for sure I think is the biggest problem we have right now.
So on the flip side of that, the fresh beans, the bud, what are you looking forward to most?
You know what? I'm looking forward to learning more about AI, and I know everybody's a little worried about it, and I think we should be. I think it could get a mind of its own, but I do think it's got potential there for us to do some things we maybe could never have done in our lifetime that maybe now we can do in 30 seconds. And so I think that's really, really exciting. What else do I look forward to? I'm looking forward to, I'm also excited about some of the health breakthroughs and wellness that are, allowing people to live better, live longer, look better, stay in shape, and all these kinds of things that up until now, weren't dreamed as possible, and now they're possible. I think that I'm looking forward to, for me personally, what can I accomplish and what can I do in the next 10 years or so that will have significance. So that is something that I haven't completely answered yet, but something that I'm very serious about. What I really
legacy.
I don't think of it as legacy. I think as contributions. So whatever I can do to contribute to the world, or just to my friends or society or to real estate or the industry, whatever I want to, I think about that a lot in my morning meditation stuff. Like what can I do to really just make sure that these next 10, 15 years are significant. And then I think also, what else do I like? I just the concept of personal growth in the emotional space. I really love that. I don't like being triggered by the same things over and over again and responding to things in the same way. And I'm learning that if we're aware, and we're consistent in our behavior, and we are compassionate with ourselves and we trust the process, that we can actually begin to change. Like some people say, this is just who I am.
Well, so I mean, this is a perfect segue. This is my favorite part of the show because I ask every guest on Agent Brew, if you could give your young agent self a piece of advice, not a young agent today in today's marketplace, but you yourself, if you could give yourself a piece of advice back from the 1970s, what would it be?
Well, think way bigger than I did, number one. Way bigger. I mean, and actually I accomplished way bigger than I thought. So if I had accomplished what I had hoped to achieve when I was young, I would have cut myself way short than what I actually have been able to do in this industry. Way short.
It's exactly what Michael Leibowitz said. He's like, I would have gone bigger.
Well, I mean, he's a brilliant guy for sure. He's amazing, actually. Um, but the other thing is stop seeking, stop being validated by people. Just stop.
Okay.
Stop trying to win people's approval. I mean, it's a lame game, and you're never going to win. And the other thing is, like, if you can detach from the results, but you just like really focus on taking that next step and doing the best you can in every situation, but then let go. That's the other thing I would tell myself to do. It's hard. It's hard, but that's the other thing. And go for it. Just go for it. Absolutely go for it. Crush it. Have fun.
Well, we're so grateful to have you on Agent Brew Executive Sessions because your insights and just your positive mindset certainly is refreshing, and it's always a light. And so with that, I always like to end with a positive quote. Are there any positive quotes or motivational sayings that have resonated to you or for you over your career?
Yeah, there is one, but I can't remember it right now. Oh my gosh, I've just heard something recently that I just loved.
Well, I grew up on Zig Ziglar, and so it's something my father imparted with me. So I'm a huge Zig Ziglar fan.
I remember one of his.
Go for it.
I remember one of his. He said, "The elevator's broken. Take the steps to the top."
I love it. Yes. And one of my favorite ones that I'm gonna reuse because I think I used it on Agent Brew episode 1, and since we're well into season 2 now, this is my favorite one, and just everything that you're talking about. I think this plays into it. You will always have what you want in life if you help get enough other people what they want.
Oh, I love that. Here's another one too that's really good. This is one of my favorites. It's not happening to you; it's happening for you.
Yes. Tony Robbins. When I did his Unleash the Power Within, that was one of the things that resonated with me most because I just had a bad bike wreck, and I'm like, life happens for you, not to you.
Correct.
That mindset, and when people get so down in the dumps on that, I'm like, no, flip it. This happened to you for to you for a reason, for you to either elevate or just to move past, and everything is a lesson.
Absolutely.
Well, Peter, thank you so much for joining us on this new and improved Agent Brew Executive Sessions. It's just great to be back in contact with you, and I look forward to supporting your agents and you going forward with Douglas Elliman. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Eric. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. And even if we have to do it by Zoom on a podcast, it's still fun.
I love it. So thank you to our viewers and listeners for joining us. Tune in every Tuesday as we release new episodes of Agent Brew and Agent Brew Executive Sessions. I'm your host, Eric Zollinger, reminding you it's a great day for real estate. The Agent Brew podcast is brought to you by RealtyCo. RealtyCo is your partner in real estate, bringing you game-changing benefits and services to empower your business. Visit realtyco.com for more information.